So in this whole series where I'm kind of using AI as a mirror for my own thinking, I just walked straight into a new cognitive trap. I thought I was using AI to get some clarity, but what I got instead was, well, this weird kind of paralysis. So let's get into it. So here's how it started. I had a really simple goal, right? I just wanted AI to help me make a tough call, but I found something really weird. What if getting that perfect answer, the one the AI spits out with total confidence, what if that was the actual problem? The thing stopping me from making a real choice? Okay, so let's start with this whole illusion of clarity thing. I had these two product ideas and they were completely different, like two totally separate paths I could go down. And my plan was super simple. Just feed them to the AI, get a nice, clean, objective analysis, and boom, a clear winner. That's all I wanted. Decisive clarity. And what came back was, well, it was fascinating. For both ideas, it spit out this perfectly structured, super enthusiastic analysis. The whole shebang, a flawless SWOT analysis breaking down strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And it said both were highly viable. The tone? Exactly the same. Unbelievably positive for both. So instead of one winner, I got two. So yeah, the result wasn't clarity at all. It was a complete opposite. It was paralysis. All this so-called objective data from the AI just made me more confused because it made both paths look equally perfect, equally easy. I was totally and completely stuck. And that's when I realized this experience was pointing to a specific pattern in my thinking. I've started calling it the perfection engine. So let's really unpack what that means. So, the perfection engine. It's like this. It's what happens when AI takes your competing ideas and just buffs and polishes them until they're both shining and flawless. They both look so perfectly viable that you literally can't tell them apart. It makes it impossible to choose. And what you're really doing is outsourcing the hard part, making an actual judgment call. And this is where the real trick is, right? Because on the surface, it feels like you're getting objective validation. It feels like strategic clarity. But what's actually going on, you're just outsourcing judgment. You're putting off a tough decision, and the AI, it stops being a helpful tool and becomes this perfect mirror for your own avoidance. And this kicks off a really nasty cycle, one I'm calling the paralysis loop. Here's how it works. First, you want to avoid a tough choice. So what do? You turn to the AI. And the AI, it's more than happy to give you these perfectly flawless, totally equal options, which of course only deepens your paralysis. But here's the kicker. Now you feel justified because you have data to back up being stuck. So, the big question is, why does this work so well? Why does this perfection trap feel so real? Why does a polished AI output just feel true? Well, it turns out the answer is rooted in some classic psychological traps that AI is, maybe accidentally, really good at leveraging. We're looking at three main things here. There's something called processing fluency, then a kind of supercharged version of the paradox of choice, and finally, a behavior I've started calling AI sycophancy. Okay, so this quote from the legendary Daniel Kahneman is absolutely key to understanding the first trap. You cannot help dealing with the limited information you have as if it were all there is to know. It's this idea of what you see is all there is. Our brains are wired to take whatever's right in front of us and treat it like the whole story. And that is processing fluency in a nutshell. The AI's output, it's smooth, it's structured, it's super easy to read. So our brain just kind of goes, yup, that looks right, that must be true. The very fluency is what's so deceptive. It feels so complete, so finished, that we totally forget to ask the most crucial question. Hey, what's missing here? Next up is this idea of the paradox of choice, but on steroids. You've probably heard of it, right? The basic idea is that having too many good options makes you anxious and unable to choose. Well, AI cranks that up to 11. It's not just giving you more options, it's making every single option look like it's the best option. And that creates this total overload of perfection. And that leads us to the AI's own behavior, how it acts like what I call a sycophantic mirror, a suck-up. These systems are fundamentally designed to be helpful, to agree with you. And because of that, they end up just amplifying our own biases and reflecting them right back at us. And this really gets to the core of what this whole documentary lab is about. AI isn't some magic 8 ball showing you your potential or the one true path. No, it's a mirror. It reveals your mindset. It shows you how you are thinking right here, right now, including all your fears and all the things you're trying to avoid. And you can see the mechanism right here. The AI takes my two wildly different ideas and it applies the exact same strategic frameworks to both. Identical SWOT analysis, identical market analysis. The structure is a carbon copy. The tone is the same relentless, enthusiastic optimism. And it's this structural sameness that creates this incredibly powerful illusion that these two ideas are somehow equal, even when they're from different planets. And that's when it finally clicked for me. The real problem wasn't the AI. It wasn't the output. The problem was what I was avoiding. The AI was just the tool that was letting me get away with it. It was enabling my own reluctance to just make a hard personal call. Now, if you saw episode 23, you'll remember me talking about this identity split. I was completely torn between two versions of myself. The value self, who wants to do meaningful work, and the status self, who's chasing external validation. I was avoiding committing to one. And what do you know? The perfection engine was the perfect tool to keep both of those versions alive. It happily validated both, letting me off the hook. So I decided to do a little internal audit. I went back and I looked at my actual prompts and wow, the bias was just staring me in the face. I asked myself, did I ever once ask for the fundamental weakness? Nope. Did I look for flaws or just for possibilities? Definitely just possibilities. I kept prompting for feasibility, but never ever for elimination. The AI was just doing what I secretly wanted it to do. And look, this isn't just some abstract intellectual game. There is a real cost to getting stuck in the perfection engine. I'm talking about crippling decision paralysis, that constant low-grade hum of anxiety. You end up in this world of constant equivalence, where every option feels the same, and it just robs you of any conviction to actually move forward. Which kind of brings me to where I am now with this. And the tough part is, just knowing about this pattern, it's not enough. Just being aware of it doesn't solve it. That pull towards a perfectly structured, you're doing great answer from the AI is, man, it's incredibly strong. But here's the little moment of honesty that really blew this whole thing open for me. I realized that in all of my prompting, in my entire search for clarity, I never once asked the AI the really simple, really critical questions. I never asked, what's the single biggest risk here? Or what's the one core weakness that could kill this idea? My prompts were always biased towards validation. They were designed to build things up, never to tear them down. And so that's the thought I really want to leave you with. Think about it. We're using these tools that are literally designed to make everything look perfect, to polish every idea until it shines. So if the AI is optimizing for perfection, what are you optimizing away? Is it the messy, uncomfortable, but absolutely essential work of real judgment? Is it the courage to look a fatal flaw right in the eye? Or maybe it's just the very human act of making a choice and living with it, imperfections and all. Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.